Good morning, art buddies, and welcome to Bricolage with Pink Girly. I'm hoping you can hear me.
Good morning, art buddies,
Whoop.
and welcome to Bricolage
Woo,
with
there's
Pink
my
Girly.
answer. Good.
I'm hoping you can hear me.
I have my sound on my phone up, and I thought I turned it down. Good morning, come in. I've had some, good morning, Peggy. I've had these ceramic pieces that I bought at Michael's, gosh, at least a year. They've just been sitting in a box. This guy, I've been moving him around. Been moving him around town for a while. They light up, and I purchased them, I guess, good morning, Gail. I guess before or after the season last year, and they were half off. So these run about $10, $9.99 at Michael's. It's got the little mechanism in there so it lights up. And I just thought they would be fun to paint. I do have some folks that follow me for ceramics, and I was thinking I would do a video, and I just didn't. So this one, I just messed it up. I didn't make sure my paint, but this is a good thing to learn. So if you do this and you want to base coat any ceramic piece because it's not sealed, it's porous. So, oh, you do, Gail? Oh, okay, cool. So you can see it's got the images on it that a sugar skull would have, and they're raised. Normally I like to dry brush, but I think this piece calls for it to just be painted. And you probably can see a little bit of my mistake here. My paint wasn't dry. I was using a thicker paint. Hey, good morning, Jacqueline. And I've added a little water because my folk art paint was very thick, and I ended up rubbing off the paint that I had already put on. So now he looks like a burn victim, really, up there. So we're just going to plow ahead and see how I make out. But you do, if you're going to paint on ceramic, this is called bisque once it's fired. Good morning, Kimberly. Ceramic bisque. It's called greenware when they pour it, dump it, the extra liquid out of the mold. And then, good morning, Ange. And then you need to clean the seams, and then they fire it. And this is called bisque, ceramic bisque. Good morning, Candy. Gail said, I have a puppy dog and a gnome that I purchased a few weeks ago and I need to paint. Oh, cool. All right. So you want to make sure you do that and then let it dry before you go messing around with it like I did. Then you won't have that problem. But I went ahead and painted the base coat on while you weren't here because it's just, it's boring. You're just going to take your paint, paint it on, make sure you don't have any bubbles. Painting white on white is difficult. The bisque is a little bit of a different color white. It's not super white like the white paint would be, but it's kind of hard to tell. You just want to make sure you have all your surface covered. Good morning, Vale. I just use acrylic paint, Gail. Now, some folks will ask about glazing. That's a whole different thing with ceramics. That's a paint that is made of like ground up glass, and when you put it on and it goes back in the kiln, the glass melts and it seals, and that's how we have our dishes, or vases and things like that that have that real high gloss. They're glazed pieces. And so this is really just for decorative purposes. You wouldn't want to paint a dish or a platter like this because it wouldn't be sealed. You couldn't use it for food. It would just be decorative. And then once this is all painted and I get it the way I want, then we'll spray it with a sealant, a spray acrylic sealant, and that will keep the paint where it is. And then you just want to dust it off with a damp cloth. And if you're putting anything outside, you want to use your indoor-outdoor sealant spray. And then every year when you would go to, say, put it on your porch or out in your yard, you want to, clean it off and then respray it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I think I've got some paint or something under my one nail. See, that drives me crazy. All right. All right, so I'm just going to use bright colors, which I don't normally do. I might use a little dry brushing. We'll see. So I pulled out a few of my paints, just deco art. Some of them may be, this one's Ceram Coat. I do have a couple of my Neo paints here. We'll just see how it goes. I'm just going to use paintbrushes that I use for regular acrylic painting. Probably more on the smaller side because he's small. Not sure how steady my hand will be today, but we're just going to go for it. I did have a picture that I was going to kind of follow, but So I based them white because I want that for my background. And the sugar skulls, similar to my thumbnail, are just kind of bright colors. And of course the dark eyes. So let's just start in. Now this one has a heart here. I was thinking I might do that like a hot pink. But the neon colors paints are translucent. Oh, this is a glow one. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So by translucent, that means you can see through it. It's not opaque. It's not solid. So I want to put a solid. Hey, good morning, Kel. Oh, there's a Candy. Did I say good morning? I know I saw you come in, but I'm not sure if I actually said good morning. And Candy's still at her old location. Okay, she's hanging in there. So when you're using a translucent paint, you want to put something underneath. Now I do have the white underneath, but I still don't think that would give me the look I'm looking for. And then of course you can add things on top too, like glitter or what's this stuff? I never can remember the name of it. Oh, it's like a diamond something or other. Let me see. Let me pull out a little. I've got it here. That's glue. Mine's not. This isn't like what Mary uses. This is diamond glaze, but there's something similar to this. I will say I did order a camera. It came overnight, but I didn't want to mess with that. I was having trouble with my sound, and I've got this jumping all the time. So I got a camera. I guess it's off-brand. I don't know, but it's supposed to help with the lighting and not cause this jumping. But that'll be for next stream. So I didn't want to mess with that today in case I had a problem. All right, so just remember, you want to base coat it. If you buy something like this at Michael's, look for it on sale. You know, they just push all the seasons, right? Everything. They got Halloween next to Christmas. So a lot of times they mark this stuff 40-50% off. So don't pay full price for it. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm cheap, but don't pay full price. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of light pink on the, good morning, Joyce. I'm going to put a little bit of light pink underneath this pink heart, and then I'm going to see what the neon looks like on top of it. I might dry brush that on. I'm not sure. Now, a lot of my paints, I used to paint quite a bit years ago. But most of them are coming down to their last few drops, and they're not in great shape. But I'm not going to need a lot of that. So I'm just going to pick a smaller brush. When I used to have ceramic, well, I still do have the ceramic videos on my channel. They seem to be quite popular. Some might think it's kind of a dying art, but it's not. People are really into it. And I had someone criticize me for the size brush that I was using for a particular piece. Look, I've got that white paint all over me. But you know what? You got to do what you're comfortable with. So if you can paint and you have a bigger brush and you're comfortable with it, go for it. But if a smaller brush works for you, then use that. Use what you're comfortable with. Now, because these little designs are puffed up, okay, all right, Peggy, I'm just going to paint on top of it. And I'm just smoothing out my paint. You know, you can get bubbles. It dries pretty quickly. My room is cool. So it's going to take a little longer to dry, but shouldn't be too terribly long. And if you paint something you don't like, in most cases you can paint over. Now there are some colors, of course, that are harder to cover than others. One of them being red. Red, you usually need a couple of coats anyway, and it's hard to paint over it. Yeah, I thought this might look cool as like a white leopard. But he does also have some of the skull type things on him. So, and I did base coat him as well. So well, I might have a go at him. Most of these dots, I think I will do black. And black with a pink flower might be nice. I've got this pink out. So let's just see. Now, dry brushing is a technique that I was introduced to years ago. I'll tell you my story. My children were young, and my mother went to a ceramic class, and I did ceramics when I was a Girl Scout. Our one troop leader had a ceramic shop, and so we would go there and do ceramics. But I was married. We were living in a townhouse, and my mom said, look, I go Friday nights and, you know, go to ceramics. We just pick out whatever we want. We clean it, we fire it, they fire it. Doesn't cost a lot. Why don't you go with me for a night out? Now, my husband at that time was working retail, selling carpet. And so I said, what do you think? And he said, well, it would give you a night out. The nights that I'm home, you know, go with your mom. So that's what I did. Now he wasn't, there's a little piece of ceramic there, kind of clean that out. Feel like a dentist doing a teeth cleaning. So he said, yeah, go with your mom's, you know, but to himself, he's thinking, oh, geez, what are we going to do with all this little tchotchke crap she's going to end up bringing home? So I went, and it happened to be my old troop leader's house. But she had a couple of ladies there. All right, Peg's back in her craft room. And she had a couple gals there that taught how to paint. And the one lady's name was Betty. She was an older gal. And she taught me how to use a liner brush. And she was tremendous. And so they had a back room that had a lot of shelves with a lot of greenware on it. So you would just pick out what you wanted to paint, clean it, and then the next week you went, your piece would be fired for you and ready to paint. They had all the paints there. There was a class fee. I forget what that was. But I started to paint little ornaments and little knick-knack type things. And this lady, Betty, showed me how to use a liner brush. And she taught me how to paint eyes. And I just really enjoyed it. And the gals there liked the stuff that I did. And then I started to bring the stuff home, and my husband was pleasantly surprised. He couldn't believe that it looked okay. So that started a whole nother adventure for us. We decided to, I guess it was for a birthday, my husband surprised me with um, a class that I took. Oh, it was over several months. I'm sure some of you may recognize the name Duncan Ceramics. It was a big ceramic company back in the day. And there was, oh, pottery, throwing pottery. Yeah, I would never have tried that. And so I went to this ceramic place and got my certificate or whatever as a Junkin teacher. I mean, I couldn't tell you half of the stuff I learned back then now. Um, but we ended up buying a kiln, and we had a kiln in our garage of our townhouse. Well, that's before I was living in my grandmother's house at the time. My dad, at that point, owned that, and we had the kiln there first in this old dugout basement that my grandfather dug out years ago. So I had students that came and they did ceramics with me and I taught. And then we used to do craft shows, and my pieces were quite popular, I have to say. They really were. And so that was really my first exposure to painting and getting into ceramics and really kind of getting into art. And it was fun. Doing the craft shows was not fun because you had to wrap everything really careful and the boxes were heavy. So that was kind of a pain in the neck to do that. But there was a company called Donna, Dona, and her pieces were so adorable, and the little faces had real cute eyes. If you Google that, you'll see them. They were just adorable, and she had little chicks and bunnies and stuff like that. And I would sell hundreds of those. Really, they were just small, but they were, and I would do like 20 at a time. And so then my husband got me a um, air gun, and I would paint the base coats with an air gun because I could get them done quicker. And it was just a thin film and it dried quick. So we had a whole routine going. So then I was introduced to this dry brushing technique, which you've probably seen me do that before. And when you have a raised surface, it's kind of cool to do that. But with this kind of a piece, I'm not sure how well it would really look. All right, so I didn't pull out like a turquoisey color. I just pulled out these two blues. I need to get a green. Let's get a bright green to start. This is a lime green. Let me try a little bit of this. Let's get some of these. I don't want to use too many different colors. Like I think I'm going to make my flowers all the same island blue. I don't have too much in the way of turquoise. What did Peggy say? My oldest son bought his wife a kiln as a wedding present. Not the most romantic. She probably wanted it though, right? All right, so let's do these leaves. So there's really, I'm just trying to paint on top of that shape, which, hey, April, how are you? Nice to see you. April and I were somewhere the other day shopping. Where were we, April? I haven't seen April in a little bit. Hope you're doing okay. All right, so I'm just going over top of these little leaves. So like when I would do Easter chicks or bunnies, they were very detailed and had, fur and texture. So the dry brushing really makes that pop, and you can go a lot quicker when you dry brush because you're just using your brush dry. It's a different kind of a brush, and you can go quick, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak. Lisa's, yeah. Oh, yeah, right, Lisa. Lisa and Kim, Studio 20, Southpaw Studio 21. It amazes me what some of these gals have that they can sell. I don't know where they keep everything. Great deals for sure, yeah. Now, of course, the trick is too, when you're painting, make sure you're holding your piece where your finger's not going to go in your wet paint. Famous last words from me. And people say, I don't know, my hand's not that steady. Mine's not either, but if you put your pinky finger down as leverage, or stability, I should say, it's very helpful. And I'm just kind of using the paintbrush like I would a colored pencil, really. And just, gentle strokes. Not a whole lot of paint on my brush, because I don't want it to, blur out and get all over. And like I've said before, from across the street, it's going to look great. Now this is a little easier because you've got that raised area. Easier in some ways, but then when you get to where that raised spot hits, the main piece, it's kind of like a little groove. So I'm not worrying too much about getting way down there. Because then you get on the white and it gets a little wibbly and but I'm thinking I do want to try something. I don't know if it'll work. That's a little crown there. All right, let's get this side. And if you sit your piece down on your table, that helps too, instead of hold it up in the air like I am. So if I was making, say, little Easter chicks, I don't know if I have any of that stuff around. I think my husband just got out some, I don't know if he got out any of my ceramic stuff. And I would do like 20 at a time. Because when we were doing this, we'd sign up for several craft fairs. I would paint all the eyes, I would do the base coat, and then I would dry brush, and then I would do all the eyes at once, and then I would do all the beaks. So it was like a assembly line. Now, my neighbor Betty, you've heard me talk about her before. She's my 95-year-old neighbor. I guess we met when she first moved in. I guess she was about 86 then. And we had art things in common once we got talking. And here, she painted ceramics years ago as well, but she did something called like a Hummel technique. The pieces that she painted look like Hummel knockoffs. So of course I asked her, well, how did you do that? Look, see, I got green on my finger and then I put it there. It always happens with me. She couldn't remember. So I was a little bummed. She hadn't done it for years at that point. But I didn't have any Hummel pieces to paint anyway. So all that experience helped me with my painting of my light bulbs, you know. But just like with the light bulbs, if you don't give your paint, your base coat paint, enough time to dry, when you paint on top of it, it just rolls right back. The coat underneath just rolls off. And I know that, and I did it anyway. Now I'm having a hard time. Sometimes there's a place. It's not always easy to find ceramic pieces. Michael's usually has seasonal stuff, but a ceramic shop. This one is called Grabby. Now, I might have them in my Amazon shop. I'm not sure, April. And this was a set. They're not real expensive and all different sizes. It's not a bad brush. You're welcome. So I went to this ceramic shop. It's about 40 minutes from here. And I was really looking for one thing in particular. My hubs isn't home. I could show you. Yeah, he pulled out some of my pumpkins, I think. But a lot of times, once they use the molds over and over and over, it kind of loses a lot of its detail. And we were on a pretty tight budget when our kids were young. So if I wanted to do something for the teachers, my kids' teachers, I usually painted them a ceramic piece. So this Donna, this company Donna, D-O-N-A, had little turkeys. They were probably about this size, and they were adorable. And they had the cutest little eyes. And so I made them for my teacher. Oh, thanks, Jacqueline. So I made those for my kids' teachers. And then fast forward, our daughter was teaching in the school she grew up in, elementary school. She was teaching first grade. In fact, she took the spot that our son's first grade teacher had. So I had gone over to help her set up her room that year, and in comes this other teacher that our son had in third grade, and Colleen introduced me to her, and she's like, "Oh, you painted the turkey. And I'm like, oh yeah. She said every year her daughter said, Mom, it's not Thanksgiving till we get out the turkey. So that kind of, that was kind of fun for me. But I used to put a little mark at the bottom of each piece that I did so people could tell that I'd painted it. Let's see if I can get that. My white's kind of, see, that's going to be hard to cover. I might have to think about something there. Well, I need some white paint. Okay, Gail. I should have a drink of tea. I can go get one of my pumpkins. Let me do that. I'll let this dry a minute. I should have thought about this. Okay, I must have hit my mouse. It's like, changes you made may not be saved. You want to leave. Okay. All right, let me just go get that. I'll show you my little pumpkin. All right, just grab this one because I knew where he had it. I think we used to pour these. And of course, you can find them with all different faces. I think Michael's probably has something very similar. And gosh, I got something in my throat now. This one, I believe, I just base coated it in the colors I wanted it. And then did, what did they used to call that? Like a, oh gosh, it's not coming to me. It was like a stain that you would paint on and then take a rag and wipe it off. But the cheeks, I dry brushed those on. See that, just that little bit of a glow. And then I just painted the eyes. I do have a video on how to do eyes. Okay, so you just want to think, when you have a piece like this, you want to think about what do you want to do first rather than last. So this, around his eyes, you have these little petals. So I want them a different color than the background, and I want the eye to be black, and I think I want the black to go, well, maybe I don't want the black to go around. I like blue and orange. Let's do Jenny. Don't be doing that. She's spied a chipmunk in our garden, and she wants to get it. She wants to get the chippy. Oh, thanks, Jacqueline. You are on the ball. Thank you so much. All right, this is just a Deco Art acrylic paint, tropical blue. I'll do my petals of my flowers, I think. And then I think I want some kind of an orange. Ah. My hand jumped a little bit there. Little Jenny. I mentioned maybe Sunday. We're having 14 people are going to be here for dinner tonight. Little Jenny's going to have some alone time. She loves people. Oh, for sure, Gail. He's got everything under control. He's doing roast pork. I'll do the sauerkraut. That's my thing. My mom's sauerkraut was so good. So we're having pork and sauerkraut. Actually, that's my favorite meal. Mashed potatoes, gravy. My husband's got too much energy. Yes, it is. That's why I'm looking forward to that. Oh, me too, April. But I've come to learn that, unfortunately, hot dogs are one of the worst things we could eat. For our gut health, I should say. And I like mustard and onion on mine. Woo! Yeah, when I'm done streaming, I've got to decide when to get that sauerkraut on, because we'll leave it cook for a couple of hours. I usually throw a piece of pork in there. I don't know if he'd save me a piece. Well, I guess he can cut me off a little piece. Alright, I'm going to do both flowers blue. Honey, I was just thinking, can you cut me a little piece of pork for the kraut?
Yeah.
Okay. I follow a girl called, she's on Instagram. What the heck does she call herself? Absolutely Lisa or something like that. She's a, look, girls, see what I'm doing? I'm not paying attention. I have to pay attention. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. If I wasn't streaming, I would paint it and leave it sit, you know? And she is always eating, trying to eat healthy. She's OBGYN nurse. Anyway, she eats those chicken sausages, I think, from Aldi's. I'm afraid to try them, but I might look at the label and see. Of course, one of the biggest things is sugar. There's sugar in everything. Sugar's so bad. And I talked to my health coach yesterday. You're painting wooden spoons? um, Nutmeg is a good color. I forget what I was saying. Now, sometimes when you are... See, Joyce, I'm afraid to try brats. Oh, sugar and everything. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. When you're using acrylic paint, you're using a little brush, and you're taking as long as I'm taking to get this painted, sometimes you'll notice your paint will start to get thick around your brush, just like if you're using a dotting tool. You got to rinse it out and clean it off every once in a while, so you don't have any issues. Don't want to have any issues. So one of the tips that my coach gave me yesterday, because I'm struggling with, okay, I'm a foodaholic. I'm addicted to food. I'm addicted to carbs and sugar. And I know there's a lot of different types of addiction, like drugs or alcohol, and you can live without that, but you can't live without food. I'm not saying one is harder than the other. It's just, you gotta eat. So, and I hate to cook. Ugh, having to cook for myself has just been a nightmare. So, I'm trying to find ways to have what I enjoy, but yet have it, healthier. You've been saying that all your life? Oh, I know, right? But it's the truth. Okay. So I got to get some white out. Well, we'll worry about that in a minute. And, all right, the one thing that I want to try, that's got to dry a little bit first. So a lot of times when I did my country or my folk art painting, I like to float color to create shadows and stuff like that to make your piece have more depth, and have more whatever, just to look cool. So I have that green. I'm thinking about this darker blue coming around these petals. Now, I don't know if you can see. Can you see how this is drying, where the bisque is sucking it in differently? So this really should have a second coat. But I'm going to try to push the envelope here. Well, it's only 10:45. And then I want to see what I don't think dry brushing is going to work. But I might try to dry brush a little bit on these wings. I don't know if you can tell. This is a little crown, a little gold crown there. And these wings, she's got little wings from the heart, and then like the little sunburst, or the burst from the gold of the crown, across the top here. And I could do that in some kind of a metallic gold. But see, I would spray the piece first and then put the metallic on afterwards. because the spray would dull down the shine of that gold. And so, well, most of the sugar skulls that I've looked at, everything is really bright. So the oh look, I missed a flower. Let me see if I have a, see, there's certain colors I don't have a lot of variety or choice in. This is a raspberry. Let's see. All right, so dry brushing is exactly what it is. You're going to use your brush dry. When you paint with acrylics and you use a brush, you know what we're normally used to seeing, a brush like this, you want to wet it first before you put it in your paint. Otherwise, your paint's going to get all in the ferrule and ruin your brush and, bleh, you know. You have to leave. Oh, sorry, Candy. I hope you're feeling better. Okay, my flashing screen doesn't help you. All right, hope you're feeling better, Candy. So you're going to use your brush dry, and I like to use these white, stiffer bristled brushes. I have had difficulty finding these in the last few years. I found a set where the handles are really long. They're back behind me, but I needed a smaller one for this smaller area. So I'm going to try to dry brush a little bit over this heart. Now, a flat surface is harder to dry brush on than a raised surface because you don't have anything really to catch the paint. So when I dry brush, I'm just trying to get the tip or the raised part of the piece. And I always used mostly one brush to do all the dry brushing, and I would start with a darker color and then go lighter. And you can use a paper bag or a paper towel. You need something to take some of the paint off of your brush. So I have a paper towel handy, so I'm just going to use that. And I'll try the pink first. So this is a raspberry color. Let's see. I'm going to do the bottom part of that heart, and then the top part I'm going to try to use the the neon color. So you're going to take your brush. It's not been in water. It's perfectly dry. I'm going to tip my tip of my brush in the paint, and then I'm going to take it to the paper towel, and I'm just going to swirl it around and rub it and try to take off most of that color. And then I'm just going to lightly, I'm going to go sideways, stroke and brush very lightly to start adding subtle color to the tip of that heart. And then you'll be able to tell when you don't have too much more color on your brush. Now, if your paint is too heavy, you won't get a nice even coverage. You'll get like a blob. And then your best bet is to just paint it all that color and try again. So it's just very subtle. So I want that darker at the bottom, and I'm going to try to do the, I'm going to do this, now this is a glow neon, so I'm not sure this is going to work. I haven't tried this. So I've rubbed out, oops, wrong brush, rubbed out most of my paint. Now I'm going to go into my next color, which is my hot pink. And then when I start working that in my brush, I'm going to tip it again in my hot pink because I want to come up more to that color that I'm looking for. So this had the darker pink in it. Work that out. Now this is my color. Just tip in my brush. And I want that brighter color. And I'm going to try it. On the tip of that, top of that heart. I can see it here. I'm not sure you guys can see it. But see, if I was going to dry brush this whole piece, I probably would have painted the skull black. The more contrast you have, the better your dry brushing is going to turn out. So I can see it a little bit. And I did the bottom mostly for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go over the rest of this heart with that hot pink because I like that. And I'm just using a really, really light stroke. And you want to let that dry. Really got that shadow going on today. All right. Now I'm not going to put this in water because I'm not done with it yet. I'm thinking I want to put maybe some darker blue on those flower petals. So I'm just going to work out this color. Now I do have some other dry brushes, but this is one of my smaller ones, which is what I want. Yes, Gail, exactly. Because but you want to make sure you have enough contrast. Now, for some people, I do have other ceramic videos you might want to watch. I know I have a snowman one. I think I have like a little figure from a Thanksgiving people. Where you see more of the technique, but the snowmen I painted black. If I was doing Easter rabbits, I would paint them like a beige because I wanted them to end up lighter. Painting on a white background gives a very feminine. You think? Yeah, I think you're right. So now this might get a little dicey. Now I could put another coat on. Let's do this one. This one's covered a little better. So now I'm going to go into my dark blue, just like before. The brush has not been in water. I do like cleaning or working on a paper bag better, but we don't have that many paper bags, so I didn't think ahead to get the paper bag. And this may be the same. I'm not sure that we're going to see a whole lot of, but it's subtle. In many cases, it's subtle. So a lot of times the throat of a flower is darker, right? So I'm doing darker towards that center. And like I said, the flat surface is really not easy to dry brush. So Gail's got a dog, like she said, the fur of a dog, or, thanks Jacqueline, the beard of her gnome. That's going to catch, the dry brush is going to catch that, like, really well. I could really even use a smaller brush. I don't know if you can see that. So I was thinking about doing green, a darker green on those leaves as well. Now normally the sugar skull, you wouldn't go to this trouble doing this. You would just paint it your basic colors, but I'm just trying to show you the technique. All right, now I'm going to try a little bit on the leaves. I pulled out a different green. That other one I used was lime. This one is festive green. And, you know, you might be thinking, oh, well, now you got that blue in there. It's going to, that's true. But when you rub out your color and work it through the brush, most times it's, I mean, sometimes you have to change brushes. But see, I'm going to rub most of that as best I can off. And then when I go into my green, that's definitely more of a blue-green. I'm so sorry. I'm hoping that this new camera, I'm not going to get that flash. And then you just keep doing that until the green looks like, you know, what you expect or what you want it to look like. And I'm just lightly hitting the top of those petals. I'm trying not, I don't really want to get down in between the petals onto the white. And the stem, I might only want to just deepen it right there where it's close to the flower. I was thinking about maybe doing a live where I paint on a handbag, an old handbag. I don't know if anybody would be interested in that. Obviously, I have some cleanup here. So let's do this side. And then I'm going to put some more white out. White out. Okay, I'll have to pull something out. I do snowmen really well. They're easy. But I sold a lot of that stuff too. So, I mean, it's fun. And sometimes you can pick up something at a thrift shop, or you have, you know, old handbags that you're not using anymore. And it's fun to paint on those. Oh, that's not bad, Gail. Get back on the horse. Oh, I forget a lot of that, Peggy. All right, so that's looking kind of cool. Now I'm going to go to white. Now I've got green in here. So again, we're just going to rub, rub, rub. And I'm going to add some more. Now this white, this folk art white is very, very thick. It's a big jug. I've had it for a while. So that's part of the thickness. But folk art paint is thicker anyway. And that's why Donna Dewberry uses it for her one stroke, because you can load your brush and you put your paint, you know, your paint stays where you want it to stay. You've been doing stitching. Oh wait, I did some background painting with Inktense blocks on a couple of pieces. Ooh, that sounds cool. Ooh, yeah, that sounds really cool. Okay, so I've got that green on there. So I'm tipping into the white. See, now I have a light green. It's getting lighter and lighter. Now there it's almost completely white. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight a little bit of these green leaves. Now that's not looking good because I went a little heavy-handed. I'm trying to get the outside edges of those leaves. Again, this brush is kind of big for this. Any place where you want a little highlight or a little bit of a pop, you add. And of course you're not going to see it much because the background is white. Now I'm just going to tip the edge of these blue flowers. Oop. Now if this gets where you don't like it, then just paint more blue on top. Go back to your blue and your regular brush. I wish I had a piece to show you a really good dry brush, because when it works, man, it's just like so cool. Yeah, so practice on a paper bag, or practice on the underneath side, and then you can paint it over. You take more paint off than you think you should. That's a good rule. That's a good way to start. I don't know, can you tell that's got the little white edges? Maybe I'll do this flower orange and then blue. Now once you're done with your dry brushing and you're like not going to use it anymore, or you know, whatever, then you put it in water. Make sure you wash it. Okay, so now I think I want to do the orange inside of my flower. And this one, let's see if I have any. Well, yeah, let's try this. I know there's not much. Oh, there's a little bit in the lid. So now I'm going back to my regular acrylic brush. So I'm going to put that in water, take off a lot of the excess. And again, my paint is almost gone out of this bottle. So you don't really want to do this. You don't want to put your brush in your lid or in your bottle. Always squeeze it out. But I don't think I have enough for it to squeeze out. So I'm going to use it out of my lid. Now I've got that blue up in there. It's kind of hard to... This orange isn't super opaque either. It's kind of... probably needs to be mixed and shook more. But there's not much in there to shake. And I'm painting the inside so you don't see that white flower. And if you're painting ceramics, sometimes you'll paint it and you'll think, I'm sure I covered that completely. And you probably did, but sometimes, depending on the bisque, it drinks the paint in differently. And so you may have to give it another coat. All right, so now I'm sitting here thinking, now what am I going to do about those eyes? Because there's little tiny, it's like a big, like a scalloped circle, and then there's little petals. You could probably see that. And of course I want it black in there. But I'm thinking I might want that all orange. And then the little petals, maybe I could do blue or a different color. So I think I'm going to go to a different brush, a bigger brush. And I'm just going to paint the whole thing orange. Because then the black's going to cover. And yeah, I might do those petals black. I'm not sure. I'll see. Now the other thing is too, if you have a brush that you know, has longer hairs, you don't want to leave it sitting in water too long because they'll bend. They'll get bendy. It's not fun to paint with a bendy brush. So I'm choosing to do the quicker version of this. Instead of going in between, painting those little petals first, and then going in between each one. You think a different color than black? I don't know. We'll see. Let's see how this looks. Anybody else want to weigh in? I'm not sure what's going to cover the orange easily. I'm bringing that right down into where the eyeball is, because that I can cover with the black. I don't want to see a white line. See if I can do this without getting my finger in it. That would be lovely. I wonder if my neon orange, ooh, that's an idea. I wonder how that would look on these little petals. Ooh, that might work. I was really wanting to make those teeth look kind of like old bone, like kind of grungy, but that's really not how a sugar skull looks. Of course, there's always, you know, it's your piece, do what you want, but I'm really not into any of this stuff. I bought these pieces really mostly because to do a video. I think if I had my channel was just, I had 2 channels. I didn't shut it down yet. I didn't delete it, but that's where most of my ceramic people were following me. And I think to this day, my ceramic videos are the most watched. You would? Oh, Gail. I mean, this one's not real big, but yeah, they had all that stuff marked down, like 40%, 50% off. All right, then I was going to do, let's see. Now, a lot of times, see, there's a big hole here, and they put the light mechanism in here. But if you go to a ceramic shop and you buy a piece that's not lit, you can put your thumb in there and hold your piece without getting your finger in wet paint. A lot easier. Let's do this little flower real quick. This brush is bigger, but let's see. I'm doing the whole thing orange. Yeah, I think my channel would be a lot more popular if I just stuck to the ceramics, but number one, it's hard to find, I think, good pieces to paint. And then what do I do with them afterwards? You know, I have no venue, I have no place to sell it. I invited those folks to come over to this channel, but I have no way of I mean, I don't know how to track that. One I think I called Ceramics 101. I have no idea. I don't remember what I did on that one, but I think people are still watching it. It's just crazy to me. Did it like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Woo! All right, I'm going to use, I think, my heat tool. Get these eyeballs dry. All right, now let's try. All right, let me cap this up. There's still the top of the skull looks like there's some kind of skin disorder. I should have probably washed it all off, but oh well. Oh well. Okay. So this is my, see, I just did it again. Oh my gosh, sometimes I'm so annoyed with myself. This is Neon, Deco Art Neon, and this is called Torrid Orange. Ooh. I love the neon colors. And when I would paint, say, a Santa hat or on a piece of wood, or, you know, something that had a lot of red, and I wanted to do a highlight for the red, the neon, the Hot Shot Fiery Red is a great highlight. That's swirling pink. I wonder if I still have any of that left. Hot Shot Fiery Red, they used to call it. Oh my gosh, that really would make your red pop. It's a hard, there's really no place to hold this guy. All right, I think I might try to just paint this on. Let's see how we make out. Whoops. Got some extra water in there. Oh, yeah. See, years ago when I would do all the different, I'm having a hard time seeing where the little, all those pieces at one time, see that by the time I got back to the first one, it would be dry. So I wasn't as messy. I liked having my kiln, but of course Ron did all the pouring. I didn't like cleaning the greenware so much. And I was terrible at glazing. Oh my gosh, glazing was not my thing. I have a huge piece I did for my classes. Enjoy her, Kimberly. My mom lost her ability to yak away. It was not good. Um, you had to do so many pieces, all these different pieces for this course I took. So it's a big Canadian goose. I dry brushed that, but I think he's kind of big to bring out here to show you. Hubby probably would grab him. I'm trying to remember where we have him. Oh, I think he's in my husband's room. Yes, I'm flying to see them in a couple of weeks. She's getting, ah, how fun, Kimberly. Oh, that's true. I could get hubby to go get them. I mean, he's not that huge, but yeah, with what happened to my mom, with the dementia, we really lost our mom when that all started because she really was never the same after that, because she couldn't be. So that was hard. Yeah. I think for our mom, it started a lot sooner than we realized. All right, I think once I paint the black in there, it's going to really pop. Oh, the long goodbye. All right, so my black I think is also thick. Let me get this off to the side. And then I have to touch up, and then it'll be sprayed. All I got to do is teeth. Woo! That's a lot of there's a lot of fine work there. I might even be able to use like a Sharpie pen in there, but the thing with Sharpie, like if you press down or hit any rough spots, it spatters, And then you can dot and put different dots and stuff on here too. I think that orange needs a second coat. I mean, this guy is going to need a little extra help, I think, beyond the stream. But, all right, so let me put out a little black. Let me see if I can conjure up my hubs. He's home now. Hey, hon, can you bring me the goose that I painted? The Canadian goose? I'm pretty sure there's dry brushing on him. And I did some, use the air gun because he was so big. I mean, he's about the size of my desk. All right, let's see. Okay. Putting this out on my little palette. I do with my little squeeze bottle of black keeps going MIA. Okay, now I want to use a brush that's a little bigger, but that I have a little control. Maybe the square brush. I really love an angled brush. Let's try. My angled brushes are so beat up. Let me try this one. Look, this is an old one. Look, all the all the side, you know, the covering that covers the wood, all of it's cracked off. All right, now I'm going to try to get in here and do, you know, pretty straight forward, you know, try to get that. Oh, here he comes. Hold on. Oh, yeah, thanks. Now, this guy's had an accident. He's got a little bit of a, let me see where I can put my skull. But see, that's a dry brushing. He fell and he busted there. But so this was all painted black. Okay, there's dry brushing on his cheek. So the whole bird was done black. And then I would start with a lighter, like a black brown. And then a brown. And then eventually a cream, and then I would come, then the white. But that's when you have a lot of detail, a lot of texture like that. That's when dry brushing is at its finest. That's when you really, really get a good effect. And of course, him being a bigger piece, I could use, you know, use a really big brush. And then those feathers just pop, just like if it was a dog. I'd done my mother-in-law a little collie, no, a little Cocker Spaniel, and she used them as a doorstop. But I just painted him a dark brown, you know, and then just dry brushed the rest on. It was easy, but he looked great. All right, let's see. Now this brush is got a couple wild hairs, so thanks, girls. I can't talk while I'm doing this. This brush is a little too wild. Where's my other one? Gonna see if his hairs are a little less out of control. So I was telling you about that turkey because I made all these turkeys. They were a popular item. Gave them to the kids' teachers, and I don't have one for myself. So I was trying to find one to do for myself. That's why I went to that ceramic shop. And they had them, but their mold was so old you couldn't really see any detail in the feather, so I ended up not buying it. Oh, the Day of the Dead. Right, because they use them so much. And of course they're putting wet liquid in there, so over time, especially if it's a popular piece and they're pouring a lot of it, they just wear out. Now, if you're just wanting to paint individually and not dry brush, might not matter so much to you, but you really want some nice deep texture if you're going to dry brush. Yeah, sometimes you'll see seams, that they didn't sand. Not so much at Michael's, but if you go into a ceramic shop, or they were popping up there for a while where, you could go in and paint a piece, or your kids could have a birthday party there or whatever. I'm just wondering if well, it's my piece, right? So I can really do what I want. I can do what I want. Let me see if I have right here. Let's see. Oh, that's gold. I don't want that yet. Raw sienna. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, they are? Yeah, sometimes if they're doing it in mass, whoever's cleaning them may not take as much time. All right, I'm going to float some color here. So what I do when I do this, I've talked about this before. I just feel like sometimes I repeat myself too much. So I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm using an angle brush. I wish I had a smaller one, but I probably do somewhere. But my angle brushes, they're one of my faves, so I use them all the time. See, look, I've got to get that black out. I want to get the black out of it. So you put it in water, because I'm just going to use it as a regular brush. I'm tapping off most of the liquid. And I'm just tipping the corner of my brush in the paint that I want to use, the color. And then I'm going to take it on my palette, or you could use a piece of tin foil, piece of glass, I could do it on my glass mat. And I'm working that color across the brush. And then I'm just going to come into where his teeth are. And I'm just going to go up in there. I'm just kind of dragging it. So I hope you can see. So it's darker at the top. That's where I put the most color, where I put the paint. And then it kind of fades down. So it's kind of like an automatic shading. So now because my brush is wide, I want to do the bottom of his teeth as well. But because my brush is wide, it would wipe off what I just did. So I want to make sure that that dries before I do the bottom. I'm very light-handed when it came to like doing the glazing. I would not put it on thick enough and brush it out too much. So I did terrible glazing. So now I'm going to rinse my brush again. Take off most of that water. Tip the point into my paint. And work it through. My bristles just still got water dripping. And then I'm going to come around and do the bottom half of these teeth. Okay, now I'm going to take some black and I'm going to look for a liner brush. I don't know if I can put my hand on my favorite. It always seems hard to find. I like the longer ones. I like this, did have it here. Sometimes it's hard to see. See, this is a 0. So you got a lot of bristles, and I like the longer ones. It holds more paint and more water, so it's usually can go a lot longer making a line than a shorter one. And just like anything else, see, here's one that's kind of wild. You don't want to use that when you're doing detail work. That's more for spattering paint at this point. Where's my, I might have to go with a short one. I don't see them here. But this is way too thick. And that guy's got some wild hairs. Let's see. It's hard for me to let something go when I know what I want to use. All right, let me try this one. I can get it out of my little. This is a 00. This is the grabby. Of course, you can see how short those hairs are. I like to use something longer. So I put my brush in water, and I'm going to take it into my paint and pull a little bit out. You can see over here what I'm doing. Because I want that paint to be a little thinner. I don't want it too runny because I don't want it to drip. But I want it to be able to move like an ink. And sometimes the water, you'll see it bead up and come down the ferrule into your brush, and then you have a problem. And when you pull your brush through your paint, if you can twist it so you get a nice point, you want to stay up on the point, not a lot of pressure, because then you get a thinner stroke. More pressure, you get a fat stroke. Stay up on the tip, press down, it's wider. All right, so it's kind of like mental. You have to think about it while you're doing it. Now this has a groove across the center of his mouth, and then of course the outline of the teeth. Not sure how it's going to go. It's going to go. I'd much rather have my other brush, but we're going to go for it. And you know what? I'm going to put my other glasses down. It's always a good idea. Put the readers down. Oh yeah, that looks different. Okay, so let's just go. It's got a little groove. Trying to follow the groove. I've got that pinky down. Trying to keep my hand steady. Now it's also got this, the whole, like the raised up thing around the outside edge. So I'm going to paint that too. So I want it a little thicker. And then your brush might start to skip, or the paint's not flowing, and then you know you need to reload. need to add a little more water. Just don't add too much water. It's hard to see. I used to do my dad a ceramic Santa. He liked my work. And I did them in all different colors. So I got some of those back. And then my husband had cut some wood. One year I did a big wooden Santa we got in a pattern where he, stands on the floor. So we usually put him by the front door. It's kind of cool. Now it's got that line across the center. This ought to be. This might be a little dicey. Alright, it might be easier to do a tooth at a time. And my mother worked in the school district. She was a cafeteria. She ran one of the cafeterias. So I sold to a lot of school teachers. It was funny when our daughter started teaching. She went into the office, and they're sitting on the desk on the counter at the office was a ceramic piece, and she said to the lady, "I think my mother painted that." And she said, "No." And she picked it up and looked at the bottom, and it had my little sign on it. She said, "Yep, she painted that one." That was kind of fun. Okay, so that doesn't look too terribly bad. So I'll finish this back here. I got to do another green leaf, green swirl there. I was thinking about taking some kind of a gray and kind of doing a shadow around some of these things, but I'm not sure about that. And then we'll spray it, and then I'll see about doing some kind of a gold there. But I was thinking it would be cool. Well, how's my time? Where's my clock? Okay, 20 up. All right. Put a jewel in his eye. Ooh, that's an idea. It's not real flat in there. I wonder how that would look. I think it would be cool if I could shadow around these spots on this leopard. But my brush is not real small. I don't know if I have a little tiny... I have some newer flat ones. I'm not sure I have a charcoal either or gray anymore. But I was thinking you could use a dotting tool. on this. Oh, and then I'll have to touch up that. I was going to look up a white leopard's eyes too. Anyway, maybe I'll dry brush. Let's try that. Maybe that'll give me the look I'm wanting. Now this is going to be scary because I don't remember the last time I did this. So I'm going to take some black and white together probably to make a gray, or more of a gray color. And I'm going to try to dry brush. I'm going to dry brush over these bumps. Try to get a little color down in here. Yeah, they should work. I was thinking about putting some white dots on those flowers, actually. So it's dry, similar brush. It's got the white bristles. This one's, of course, a little bigger. And I'm going to go into my white and then just a little bit into my black because the black is so intense. Adding a little more white. And let's do it around, let's say, let's do the back of his head. Let's do the back of his head. Now this is a little different in that I'm trying to get down in between those dots to just kind of give the idea of a shadow. You need another paper towel. So this I'm kind of really pushing. Now if you have a flat piece and you base coat it, I did a nativity pieces one time where you just painted it one color, like a tan or a brown, and then dry brushed it. They kind of just looked like wood. But there again, it's not easy to do that, dry brushing on a flat surface. Now, of course, when you use a dotter, I don't know if that's what you actually call them, it leaves a puddle of paint. So you want to make sure you do what else you want to do before you start putting your puddle of paints. Okay, Gail, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions when you go to paint your piece, let me know if I can help you, okay? All right, so I'm thinking black and pink for this guy. So I want to do a black nose, and I guess I'll just do the eyes black with a highlight. So let me get my little brush again. My paint's really thick. The longer your paint sits out on your palette, acrylic paint, of course, you know, it's going to get thick. Oh, he already looks better. All right, let's do his nose. Comes around like that. Kellyanne just sent me a picture. I guess it's of her spoons. Let's just see. I'm having a hard time seeing. Where his nose goes. I want to kind of do a line there. Just take your time. And then around this flower, there's like little petals. I think I'm going to do black. It's kind of weird. They don't seem the same. I'm going to do this Chubby Cat and Sharpie markers. Okay, hold on. Let me. I'll get it in a minute. Oop. Sorry, it's hard to talk. Sometimes it's hard to talk and paint like this. I'm not liking you did them while you were in the hospital. That was before you came here, Kel? Okay, I'm thinking. I should have my other glasses down. Yes, okay. All right, now of course you could paint those dots in, but I'm just wondering if it might be easier to do them with a dotting tool. And I've got those whiskers to think about too. So don't, if you start at the top and then work your way down, it might be easier to keep your hands out of the paint. Just an idea. think I missed what Angie said. I guess Angie had to go. I don't think she could stay. All right, hold on. I'm getting to where I need to go. I need to go to the loo. Let's see what Kel sent. Okay, let's see. Right here. Aww. Oh, it looks like a, what do you say, a little fat cat? It looks like a little piggy pig to me, a little piggy bank. He's cute. Aw. Did you paint that stuff on or was it on there? Oh, he's a cute little guy. He's a cute little fella. All right, let's see. I've got a couple different this is an old Martha Stewart set. That don't owe me anything. Let's just see. Well, I'm kind of swirling to get the paint to cover that bump. Oh, you did it with a Sharp. Oh, I get you. Okay. I forgot you said Sharpie. This guy's got really kind of like dot. Like the dot eyebrow, the dot, what do we call it? Dot painting or? Let's do under his eye. I need a little, let's do this eyebrow. I'm not redipping, kind of thinking it's more like the dot art. Kel and I were doing that. He's got little dots under his eyes as well. Let's get those. Oh, nose dry. Yep. Dotting these on is definitely easier, I think, than trying to paint those little dots with a paintbrush. That one got a little messy. Got to make sure you keep cleaning it off. Because then you get extra paint where you don't want it. Okay, his eyebrow's still a little wet because the dots, it's a puddle of paint. It's going to take longer for that to dry. I was thinking I might like to dry brush a little pink inside of his ears. That one didn't get round. Well, I think a lot of their spots are not really round, right? So I'm not gonna fret. I'm not gonna fret. I would like to have more of a shadow around them though. I don't think I have a little enough brush to do that. Plus I have to wait for the dots to dry. This one's not round. It's got a couple down his nose. And then I'll use the smaller side. Okay, I think I'm going to scoot because I need to go to the little lady's room, but I'll continue doing these dots. I'm going to do the rest of that black, and then he's got speckles around his tail, and then all across his back, and then I'll get that flower to match the front flower. I'm going to put some pink in his ears. I'm thinking about a little bit of pink on his cheeks, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, his whiskers. So, look, he's got a couple speckles down there. So, these are fun pieces. I'm anxious to pull the little and make them light up. Oh, he don't have a little. Wait a minute. Oh, look. Can you tell? Wait a minute. Let me see. You can see all the brush strokes. So these are cute. They have them in all different, different times of the year. And, catch a sale. They're fun. They're fun to do. This guy needs to clean up a couple places. I got to finish up those flowers. But I'll take pictures and post them on IG when I get them all situated. So thanks for joining me. This is a project I wanted to get done. So they're not quite done, but they're almost done. And that's something I can get off my to-do list. I love getting things off of the to-do list. So thanks for being here. I appreciate that so very much. I'm glad my sound was working. That was a bit of a nerve-wracking couple of days there figuring that out. But so now, hopefully next time, Sunday, I'll be at 12 noon again. I'm planning to go to church again, so we'll see how that works. I'll put a reminder up on my community tab. So 12 noon Eastern on Sunday. If you'll join me, if you're able to join me, that would be great. And hopefully my new camera will be installed and all that will go well. I'm a little challenged when it comes to these things, but hopefully that jumping will. I feel bad Candy had to leave because of it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. If you have any questions, especially the replayers, leave a comment. I'll be happy to get back to you. If I don't, message me again, because sometimes they don't come through, but I try to keep up with that as best as I can. And if you think of me later, pray for me a little bit. I'm nervous about having all these folks coming for dinner. Of course, it's not on me. It's just, I have to be pleasant, be a hostess. And that can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes, All right. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your week. And hopefully I will see you Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, take time to be creative. Enjoy the journey. Until next time, bye bye.